Indigenous people have fought and died across the world as members of the Canadian military, and yet too often their sacrifices have gone unnoticed. Tens of thousands of Indigenous men and women served Canada in wars of the 20th century. They did not wait to be recruited, they volunteered, despite living in a society that denied them equal rights. They enlisted for many reasons. Some wanted to carry on a family military tradition or further military careers. Others just wanted a steady wage. But for many, the desire to put life and limb on the line came from a simple desire, to serve. These are some of their stories. The deadliest sniper of the First World War, credited with 378 kills and capturing more than 300 prisoners, was an Ojibwe from the Shawanaga First Nation in Ontario. Francis Pegamagabo served in every major battle of the war, was wounded multiple times, and became plagued by what is known today as post-traumatic stress injury. Renowned for sneaking behind enemy lines, among other acts of bravery, he was one of only 39 Canadians to earn the Military Medal with 2 bars. Also recognized for their service were Six Nations Boston Marathon winner Tom Longboat, twice wounded as a dispatch carrier, and Edith Montour, who served as Canada's first Indigenous nurse in the First World War. Indigenous people who wanted to serve in the Second World War initially found their options limited. It wasn't until mid-war that color bars were lifted, which made it easier for Indigenous people to serve. And serve they did. Indigenous men and women joined all military branches and fought in every military theater. Code talker Charles Tompkins, a Métis from Alberta, translated messages into Cree to conceal important information from the enemy. Many of these Second World War soldiers were also decorated for bravery. The famed war hero Tommy Prince, of Manitoba's Broken Head Ojibwe Nation, was rejected several times and allowed to enlist only after the war had already begun. He became a member of the 1st Special Service Force, a joint US-Canadian commando unit also known as the Devil's Brigade. There, Prince was celebrated for, among many things, fixing a communications wire in full view of the enemy while masquerading as a farmer. His daring exploits earned him the Military Medal and the United States' Silver Star Medal. Despite their valor, Indigenous troops often experienced discrimination in uniform. One noted example was Grey Eyes Steele's sister, Mary Grey Eyes, who, for a time, was not allowed in the Canadian Women's Army Corps barracks and had to stay in a boarding house. But others were simply accepted as comrades in arms. Métis Sergeant J.F. St. Germain found respect among his fellow troops who called him the Saint. He dreaded returning to the racism of civilian life, going as far as to say, quote, "I hope I get killed before it's all over."
Ogijida in Ojibwe means warrior. Indigenous people in Canada volunteered in all of Canada's wars. First Nations, Métis, Inuit. They all served. They served in the trenches of Ypres, to the shores of Juno Beach, to the hills of Kapyong, to the Green Line of Cyprus, to the desert of Afghanistan, to the frozen Canadian Arctic. They used their knowledge of the land and hunting to be great marksmen and talented scouts. They were treated as equal on the battlefield, but they had to battle for their rights in the land they battled for. If their hearts could speak, we think this is what they'll say. We were the forgotten, of the lest we forget. We were the invisible ghosts from the res. We had no obligation to join. We had to give up our treaty status. We fought. We died. Our language was used for secret messages. We stood side by side with the other soldiers in our victory. We were cast aside when we came back home. We didn't get the benefits allotted to other veterans. We didn't know where to live since we gave up our treaty status. We were the forgotten, of the lest we forget. We were the invisible ghosts from the rest. They all served. They all sacrificed. Many sacrificed all. Today, we remember them all.